Hello and welcome to this tutorial. So what I'm going to do here is I also own ZBrush and can edit these files inside ZBrush, but I want to show that you can repair scanned data from any source. A Shapify Me booth, handheld scanners, Connect Xbox 360, and Sconnect, and there's numerous ones out there, including Photogrammetry. You always have to edit the models. So if you're on a budget and you don't have ZBrush, here's a way to do this with free software, which is called Blender, for one. Let's go to Blender. So it is Blender. And where you want to find it is at blender.org. So it's a free project. So you can go to the home page. And you can see that the software is here. So currently released is 7.6. And then you would download it. And then the other one you want to go to is Meshmixer. Let you take a look at this. So Meshmixer. We're going to use this to repair the model, and then we're going to project our texture back onto the repaired one to be able to have a final product. So I'm going to make this into two parts. And the first part's going to be preparing the model, getting it set up, importing your data into it. And then the second part will be to finish and complete the repair process of 3D scan data, especially things that have holes in it, have textures are rough, to fix everything. All right? Let's go ahead and get started now. Now, Meshmixer I have on here, and I have Blender on here. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a model of me and my son to avoid any copyright infringement of anybody. So this is me and my son, and what I'm going to do is the first thing, it's not always necessary, but you're going to need some kind of a photo editing program. I'm using the version of for the web, which is the Photoshop CC for cloud software. And I go ahead and open up my texture in this, and one of the first things is generally I find that these things are too dark. So what you want to do is you want to edit one of them. Well, you want to edit it, and you want to go into image mode, and you want to change the mode under adjustments. Under the mode into CYMK, because that's how most of the 3D colors, the 3D printers print in color, is use the CMYA. So, see, am I saying that right? Let me make sure. CMYK, yeah, CMYK. So that's the standard format for a printer that actually a 3D printer with gypsum. The Project 660 to mention one of them. There's other ones out there called the Pandora's 3D. There's other ones as well. So these things will print color gypsum models. So what you generally want to do is you want to brighten them up. So you want to go to Adjustments, Brighten, 25. On the brightness and the contrast, about 25, and that usually does it. As long as the skin tone looks correct. If it looks like it's a little bit too overbearing, what you can do is you can kind of go back to adjustments, and you can go to say, let's see, it looks like it's got too much red in the face. So let's go to color balance, and let's kind of move one of the sliders away from red, and there we go. We kind of fixed it there, so it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and export this now. And let's export it and call it, same as I've done for my tutorial for ZBrush. Let's go ahead and call it Brighter. So I'm going to put an extension on the end and call it Brighter. You're going to find out that this does take a little while to process since it's a PNG. I've noticed this for some strange reason. It must be running some kind of app over the web to run this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Export now. And I'm not going to name it the same. I'm just going to put a dash and put Brighter on it. And again, it takes a second to process. Letting you see live how long this takes, which is a very short period of time. This is fairly quick. My current system is a hexa-core AMD running 32 gigs of RAM. So just so you know, you can tell the difference between the two textures, all right, which is good. Now, since I'm going to load this into Blender, I need to make a backup of the first file, so in case I ever need to go back, okay? And I need to rename the one that I want to be brighter to the original name, because I can go back in here and I could edit this and I could change the material format if you want. But you know, this makes it a little bit easier just to go through doing this. Okay, so I'm going to rename this one. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to rename this one the original file name. There we go. Now when I load up the model, it'll use that new brighter texture. So let's go ahead and close out of Photoshop. No longer need it. I'm going to open up Blender. Now I haven't run the current version, which I showed you, which was 2.76. I just like this one right now currently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my scene that I have playing on here right now. Okay. So basically, I just want to make sure that I'm recording here. Everything is going good. All right. So what I need to do is I'm going to delete this cube. So I'm going to right click on it and hit X and then delete. Then over here on the side panel, you need to change your side panel. Now, I've already changed mine to 10,000, but yours is going to default to 1,000. So these models are not going to show up correctly. Here's some things you got to remember about in Blender. It's kind of, the coordinates is kind of messed up. I don't know if it's actually coordinates that I want to say, but when you're editing models, they're going to come out gigantic. But if you size them and change the size, when they export into a still format, which we're going to export this to, so we can open it up in Meshmixer, sorry, you cannot change the scaling whatsoever. And if you do, it's going to screw everything up. You don't want to do it. So trust me, here's the process to do this. So you want to change this over on the panel, which is you hit N, whoops, to bring up this panel over here on the side, or you can hit the positive sign to bring it up. And you want to go to where it says, let's see, lock to object down here a little bit further, and you want to say basically what this setting is this is the viewing area. So you want to change it to about 10,000, and this is a good start. So I got mine to 10,000. So now what I want to do is I want to go to File, and let's go ahead and import the object file. And I saved mine on the desktop, so my file is located under here, and my object. Let's go ahead and import. Waiting for it. It does take a few seconds to load this. Not too unreasonable amount of time. Alright, there we have it down there. Now, you have to make sure that you right click on the model, because you see it has this orange outline. You need to right click on it and turn it yellow. And give it a second. You'll see the color change. Remember, this is quite a bit of data for Blender, so it does function well, but you do need to have a decent amount of RAM to run this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit 5 on the num keypad, and if you notice, if you watch where the mouse is right here, this is going to change to orthographic view. Okay, and I'm going to hold Shift and hit C, and what that does is that pulled the cursor back to the center of the screen. You can also see me in there as well, and my son. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this into position. So I'm going to hit R and then rotate on the X, and you notice, whoops, and you notice that that line came up. So R and then X, you see the line that came up right here in between. What I want to do is I want to hit -90 and then hit Enter. Then what I want to do is, since I'm still in orthographic view, I want to go overhead view. And what I want to do is, so if I hit 1 on the num keypad, you notice that front, how I'm not in the front of the picture here. And what I want to do is I want to put us facing the front. So what I'm going to do is hit 7 on the num keypad, which takes me in the top ortho view. Hit R to rotate, and I'm going to bring my face so I'm looking straight ahead. And you see this is where the front is down here. Then I want to hit G. I want to move me about right there in the very center of all the axes. Then I'm going to use this option where it says Set Origin. I want to change the Set Origin to the center of mass. Okay, that put my point right there in the center of mass in between the X and Y coordinates. Now don't forget, you need to set the transformations. And I notice that I have my rotation is messed up a little bit, and I also have my location of my transformation is messed up as well. So to remove that, you want to hold Control and hit A one time, and then do location, and you notice that these all zeroed out. Hit Control and then A one more time, and then do rotation, and you notice that this zeroed out. This sets you up for loading this into Meshmixer so that we can export it, also so you can realign the separate scan when we're finished with this. But we want to turn on a couple of more things before we do this. Now, I'm holding the middle mouse button and then moving my mouse and then rotating it, moving my mouse to rotate this around. What I want to do is I want to see a textured view. So again, hit N to bring this up, or hit the positive sign at the top of the menu to open it up. And I want to click on where it says Textured Solid, and I can see my model. Then let's bring this out a little bit here, and I want to click on the Texture tab, or the Material tab, sorry. And I want to change this to where it says Shadeless. Okay, that kind of gives me a good view of what it looks like. Now, it's not necessary for me to turn these colors on at this point in time, but I think it's good as a good start to get ready for it for its export. Now, before I do anything, your preferences, you can save it now or you can save it after. You know, since I've already done the time to set this up and everything's good, as long as my transformations are correct and my rotations are all zeroed out, I'm going to save as right now. And I'm going to put it back in the same folder that I was creating it in, and I'm going to call it Me and Son. Alright, let's save it. This way I can have it saved back so I can bring back my model later on. And then most importantly, I need to export it now. To export it in the format that MeshLab is going to edit it, we don't want any color on it. We want it to be completely blank when we do the editing on it, because loading color into Meshmixer is going to make it very difficult to edit it. You could go through the hassle of disabling it, but why? Why work harder when you can work easier? So these are free programs anyways. So let's export into a still format, and I'm going to leave it as Me and Son. And let's export it. It's in the default folder where I was at already, so I'm going to export it. Export still. Sorry about my chair squeaking here. And it's done. So now I should close it. Blender didn't ask me to save anything because it already had saved it. I have it already located in there. Now, if you notice, I already have Meshmixer installed on my computer, so once I double click on this, it's already set by default to edit still documents. And then now it's loading it up. Good. So, you know, the movement in here, to move around, is going to be middle mouse button and drag. Then to rotate it is to hold the right mouse button and then move the mouse. Now to move it, I believe you have to use a combination of another key. So to move it around, yeah, no, that's right. I got it right. Okay, so what we need to do is let's zoom in. To zoom in is hold the middle mouse button and Control. Okay, and you can see I have a whole bunch of geometry bumps on me, all kinds of things on here. So basically what I want to do is we need to repair that. I noticed that my son here has like a double hand exposure. So we need to pick which hand we're going to use out of this process, and if we're going to be able to put fingers back on it and fix other things on it as well. So let's get started with that. Alright, so we need to go into select mode, and we want to change the size of the brush. To do that, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can either just drag the tool here to do it, or you can hit the actual, let's see, what is it? The bracket keys above enter. You can hold them down and change the size that way. So what we need to do is we want to select an area that's on here like this, like that. See, that part is something that we just need to get rid of. Let's select these areas. By the way, to select it, I'm holding the left mouse button, moving over, and then clicking the left mouse button one time. See, I'm getting rid of these points. These points are going to be things that you're going to have to edit out anyway, so I might as well get rid of them now. And let's move around. Let's move. Whoops. That, by the way, that's a feature called Grow. What I'm doing is I'm holding down Control, and I'm holding down the right mouse button, and I'm moving it, and it will grow those selections. So we don't want to grow them right now. So all I'm looking to do is moving this around so I can select more of the objects I need to get rid of. So we can get rid of this. We're not going to use the second hand that's scanned. And you're going to find this out because most people, when they get scanned, they move. And these are things that you're going to have to repair. And yes, it looks like quite a bit, but there's two complete arms here that you got to think about and be aware of. So let's get everything on here. It's looking good so far. Let's select it. Now I see a double exposure here. If you guys see this right here, this is something coming out on the side of the arm. Yeah, a double scan, you'd say. Okay. Let's look down here, see if there's anything we can repair down here. Yep, these are going to be a nightmare on a 3D printer, these little spots here. So what we want to do is we want these holes to close up, is what we're going to try to do here. Alright, I see some double geometry right here. Get rid of that. I see some double geometry here as well. Whoops. We need to zoom in. I grew the structure. I didn't want to grow those things any bigger. Like, that happens sometimes. Okay, what I want to do is I want to get this little section here. I want to get this right here. That little piece. This is going to be a source of problem. See how it tucks underneath there? So we want to fix that. This is going to be all easy to edit later on. Even though it's going to have a bunch of holes in it, it's going to be easy to fill them in and repair it. So let's see what else we got here. I think that might be all the delete. Sometimes what I try to do is I like to do the edit, erase, and fill and see which ones it'll get. And I got some of them. So some, yeah, it looks like I got them all. It looks like, well, I got them all except this one right here. Let me show you this one right here. See how it turned? Yeah, the ones that turned in red, it didn't get. It had a problem with them. So the other ones, though, it did. So we got most of them. So let's unselect. I'll accept that. And unselect by just selecting another sculpt, then back to select. And then we need to address this one here. So we got to get these. We're going to have to just delete it by hand. So what we're going to do is, I believe X will do it quickly. Let's see, edit. And then X will discard. So yes, so let's go back on here and hit X. And it did. And to fill that hole, what you want to do is we want to go to Analyze, Inspector. And let's go ahead and repair all. Good. So it leaves us something to edit later on. Alright, we need to get rid of this double exposure here. Yeah, I can see it right there. Let's go back to select. I'm going to change the brush size down a little smaller here just so I get just this area. And you can see how I'm selecting that. It's just all above the model. Things that definitely cause you heartache. Let's hit X. Good, we got most of it there. I still see some objects above it. You see that here? This is tough to select this. But it can be done. Alright, let's do discard by X again. And then let's go back to the Analyst and Inspector. And let's go ahead and repair all. And we got rid of it. So it's gone. And it closed it back up again. So I see some problems with this right here. So let's select this. And this one here. And then X to discard. Good. And then let's go back to the Analyst. Now you could wait and do the Analyst at the end, but you know, you're risking it crashing, you know, because Meshmixer isn't the best software in the world, but it is awfully good for the price it costs. That's free. So deal with some of the things that it's going to do. Let's get rid of this little nub here. Okay, X and delete. And let's go back to the Analyst. And remove it. Let's see, it looks like there's still something there. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to highlight this one more time. Disregard. Yes, there's what I like. What I Analyst. And repair. Good. That's easy to fix later on anyway. So, alright. Zoom out. Let's find some other material, something else that we might need to repair. Yeah, I still see some murky bits out here on the side right here. So let's get rid of this. Alright, let's discard it. Back to Analyst and Inspector. Oh, it's complaining. So, yeah, it did. It filled it in. Good. So it is gone. Alright. Let's look around here. Oh, we got a blue line attached to something here. So that means there's a problem in there. So let's go in there and let's delete around this. So it's saying there's like some kind of double image in there. And what was the one to do erase and fill, which is hit F. So let's do F. And it got it. So it is gone now. Alright. So let's kind of move around here and see if we got anything else we need to edit. Or at least delete. Yeah, I know there's something on my shoe right there. See that? Let's go back to select. And I'm going to select this right here, the big burgy bit right there. And we definitely want to get rid of that, because that's definitely an area that is not good. Sharp edges. 3D printers do not like. This is not going to print correctly. So we need to fix it. Looks like some kind of scan data error or something on there. Let's get rid of that too. And I see a hole right here. So let's kind of get rid of this hole. And I'm going to hit F and try to fix all of them. Okay, notice this one didn't do it because it's too far in. So we're going to have to manually select it. Manually delete this one. Okay. Let's go back to analysis and then inspect and then remove these ones and see if we can repair them. And we did. We did remove them. I do have a lot of stuff hanging out right here. This still looks like this needs to be cleaned up. So let's clean this up too. One more time. And let's hit F and see if it'll fix it. Awesome. That way I didn't have to go back and do the inspector. Good. Alright. Now you may look at that and you're like, God, you know, it's a lot of edges on there. Well, I'm not done yet. I'm just kind of going through and getting all the parts that I need to delete. And then I'm going to use the smoothing techniques. Now, this looks like there's something inside. Like this has got like double geometry inside of it. Right here. So I need to get rid of that. And I'm going to do this by selecting it again. And then hit F. Will it let me do it? It did. So it did. Ah, I got rid of that. That's what I wanted, was to get rid of that. Alright, so we got rid of that little piece. Now we can basically inflate and repair the mesh now. Okay. Alright, let's take a look. Alright, so what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and we want to use our sculpting tools. So we want to go to our brush, and what we want to do is we want to use the brushes, and we're going to change depending on what we're going to repair. So like an overall brush repair is what I like to do first. Kind of get all the areas that I can work out. So what we're going to do is let's do a robust smooth. And let's kind of zoom in. And then let's change the size of the brush again. Okay. So the size, let's change it up here. Yeah, that's a good size. Maybe a little bit bigger. See, now watch what I'm going to do here. Let me move in so you can see this. Now do it gently. So I'm not doing it really hard to get rid of a whole bunch of things. What I'm doing is I'm smoothing the model out. Okay? Your strength could be too high, so you need to make sure of this that it's not, because what it'll do is it'll make your model basically disappear underneath this bubble. So I'm going to smooth everything out so it looks nice. This is the overall smoothing process. Yeah, you definitely tell that there's a lot of deformations in the pant legs. So, you know, I mean, details you want in there, but you don't want this to be in a print, because these things are going to make the print feel rough and look bumpy. These things are going to make the print no matter what kind of scan you're doing, whether it's just bust scans or head scan or whatever it is that you're doing. This is how you can clean it up. And most of all, using free software, which is a good price. Let's continue fixing this up. It's looking pretty good. You notice that sometimes when your brush is too big, it may take too much data away. That's why you need to shrink the size of it and kind of edit and play with it. But I can also see that's in here that I need to clean this up. I can see that there's a bunch of artifacts right there. You can see it all in there like this too. So yeah, the way you're going to fix that is a couple of different ways to do this. Okay, so let's go through here and select this area. Okay, and basically I'm making kind of a hole here that I'm going to fix this all at once. And let's get rid of it. Alright, good. It made a hole. So there's so much bad geometry on there that now what I need to do is I need to bridge the gaps on there. So what I'm going to do is I need to select, oops, I need to change the size of that. I'm going to start with a hole to cross over here. The software needs to understand where the hole actually is, and sometimes this will do it automatically, but most of the time it won't. So what I'm doing is I'm going to bridge that gap. So what I want to do is I want to go to Edit, and I want to bridge it. So that's Control B. So if you want to do a short part of it, that's another easy way to do it. So now what I want to do, whoops, sorry about that, I undid it. I want to bridge it. Okay. And then let's unselect that section, and then what I want to do is I want to bridge from here to here. So I think it was Control B. There we go. And let's accept that and then unselect that area, and let's do from here to here and then do Control B again. Now what's going to happen is, since I did this, now this technique you can use to fix a lot of things that are not, the holes are not filling in correctly. So now when I go back to Analysis and then go to the Inspector and then Repair All, it fills it in correctly. So now it's all filled in. You remember I had a lot of bad geometry right there, and all we want is my son's arm just to show up on there. So now, since we have that fixed, what we can do is we want to go back to the sculpting tool. Let's go to our brushes, and we want to find one that says Inflate. Here we go, Inflate. So what we need to do is we need to kind of find a size that works for this, and let's kind of inflate it. So basically what we're doing is we're rebuilding the arm so it looks like an arm. Okay. Alright. You gotta kind of rotate this in a way so you can tell what you're making here. This is looking better. Okay. Again, I'm just using the left mouse button to draw this. And because this was done like this, I want to go back now. What I want to do is I want to go to the brushes, and I want to go to Robust Smooth. Okay. And it's getting better. Yeah, definitely liking this. And it looks like it's folded in on itself right here. So remember, you learn the technique on how to select an area, and then you can hit F, and it'll, nah, it didn't do it. So because it's folded in on itself. Yeah, because there's something else behind it. So let's do select again. I'm just going to select this area. I'm going to hit X and remove it. And then I'm going to go to the Analysis and the Inspector. And then repair that hole. Now I don't have that little dimple in it anymore. So yeah, and plus I've got the arm kind of pulled out. Now if you want to make the arm look, you know, more realistic, so what you're going to have to use is some more brushes. So we'll go to a brush, and let's go to, let's see, it's either going to be pinch. Maybe pinch might do it. Drag. I don't know. How about draw? Will draw something on there? Nah, I don't think so. I think pinch might be the way we need to do it. And let's turn down the strength a little bit. Just kind of, nope. Just turn up the strength. Yeah. See, pinching it and making some deformities in it. So there's other ways to do this too. Let's see some spikes. Let's see what happens on that. Well, Control Z to undo it. Nah, it's a little bit too much. Let's do. Let's try one here. What can we do? Don't want to do smooth. I don't want to do zipper edge. I thought the spikes would work for this, but what about this kind of draw? I don't know, it still kind of looks like it's inflating it. By the way, I'm hitting Control Z to get rid of that. I want to go back to smooth and smooth that out again. I don't know, you might have to play with it, but you got to play with pinch. I know it's got to be pinch, and then it's got to be the size maybe, or the strength again. Yeah, that kind of looks a little bit better. I don't know, maybe it's because of the size of it's too big. So let's kind of shrink it down. Kind of go like this. Bring up the strength. Well, you kind of get the idea. It's getting fixed there. Just wanted to have a little bit more rough detail in it. I notice here that his fingers are gone. Okay? Now, there's a couple of ways to fix this, but probably some of the most easiest way is to go to your move tool. And there it is, move. And what I want to do is, because it's gone, I want to grab here, let's do this. Let's pull this out. Do this one. Let's pull this one out too. This one out as well. Alright, that looks decent. But what I need to do is I want to kind of sprinkle some vertexes on there. So to do that, generally what you can do is you can do the robust smooth. We'll do it, see what that does? So it puts more vertexes back on there where you need them, because if you're going to create a hand or fingers, you're going to need to do this. So it shrunk it down by doing that, so I can go back to inflate. And I can inflate them. They're looking better, as you can see. So I can play around with it. Okay. But this one looks like this needs to be pulled out too. Pull it out a little bit. Pull this one out a little bit. Then go back into robust smooth. Sprinkle some vertexes on there. Let's go back in here and go to inflate. Okay, and you can build it up. Now pinch is really good for doing something in between like this to be able to define the fingers again. So in case you're losing the edges. So this is definitely going to have to be fixed here. In some cases, I think I'm going to try another technique for this. I may cut off his hand here and then put it back on here to make it look correct. I think that might be a better option.